Welcome, welcome. We're back today. Christine Masnick here, and I am with our lovely ESL 1 adult class over at Burbank Adult School. Thanks for being here. Check yourself in, and we are going to continue exploring cultural expression through making art. And so, as we did yesterday, we had a fantastic warm up. I hope it was fantastic for you because you got to explore your own culture. And let's see, where is it? The question was, what type of art or crafts are popular in your culture? And you're going to briefly describe any artwork that you know from your culture, such as traditional embroidery or weaving or pottery or painting. And I wanted you to include colors and shapes and animals and music and symbols and everything to tell me what you know about your culture and the art of your culture. And so the warm up was translated in both Armenian and in Spanish, so all of us could participate. And I really enjoyed reading them last night. So what we're going to do is take it one step further with our vocabulary of the elements of art and the principles of design. And what we're going to do with that today is I have put together a slideshow. And we're going to be looking at each of the elements of art and the principles of design. And then at the very end, I found some really wonderful pieces of artwork from all of your cultures. And we're going to briefly see how the elements of art and principles of design play into that. And then we're going to start sketching and working on making our pieces of art in groups. And then we're going to probably have a share circle afterwards so that we can talk about our artwork. So here we go. Let me share our the slide presentation. And let's see, here we go. Slideshow. So here we are, starting with color. And everyone loves color. And you can use a variety of color. You can mix it up. As you can see behind me, we have a beautiful color wheel. And so that's one of the aspects that is typical and common in all cultures, that there is some use of color. The next element of art is line. And with line, we can use line to encompass things, to outline it, to point direction to something. There's swirly lines, there's straight lines, there's jagged lines. There's lots of variety in that. The next element of art is shape. And as you can see with this word shape, it's made of circles and triangles and squares and rectangles, but those are the geometric shapes. We also have organic shapes, and those are the shapes of leaves, the shapes of raindrops, the soft lines that you find in nature, in mountains, etc. In space, which is our next element of art, you can really have fun with this because if you want something to appear really closer, what do? You make it larger. And if you want something to appear like it's further away, you make it smaller. So those are ways that we can change what we call perspective by using shape. Texture is our next element of art. And texture is how the ruggedness of fur or the how a shell feels on the outside or the of our skin. And you do this by making weavings. There's all kinds of ways to create texture. Value. And value is going from very light to very dark and all the stages in between. And we can use value with black and white, and we can also use value with color. And then form. So as with, for instance, the stapler, it has form. It has a top, it has a bottom, it has sides, and it has depth. So you can see it in 3 dimensions. So it has form. And balance. So we're getting into our principles of design. So when something feels balanced, it feels like it's not off kilter. It feels like it's similar on one side as it is on the other, and it gives it some kind of sense of calmness to it. And then emphasis. One of the best examples of emphasis that I can think of is, well, for instance, there are these stars, but also in a painting, when you see a bright sun or you see an animal really standing out, that gives emphasis to that area of the artwork. And movement. That's another thing that it's a trick of the eye where we can take color, for instance, a color red, and take it from one part of the painting and put it in another part of the painting and another part of the painting. And so your eye follows, it creates movement. And then pattern. And as you'll see in many of the pieces that you all talked about, there's pattern, there's geometric pattern, and then there's actually organic pattern. And so by repetition and using pattern to create emphasis in one part of a piece of art, it makes it more interesting. And then rhythm. So when you think of rhythm, sometimes you think of music. And so basically what it is if it feels like it's alive and it breathes and the rhythm brings you from one area of the painting or the piece of pottery or the three-dimensional piece of artwork to the other. And unity. Does it all feel together? Does it feel like every aspect of it has a purpose and that the reason you put that star in the sky mirrors what you put the reflection in the ocean? And so we'll talk about that a little further too. And then variety. That again, it's interesting. You use different shapes and sizes and colors to create variety and create interest in your artwork. And then we have proportions. So we can go from very large to very small. And how we place that in space also creates some interest. And then contrast is where you go from very dark or very light and you put them next to each other and it really gives it like an oomph. It's like you really look at it, you're like, wow, what is that? And so that's another principle of design, contrast. So here we are. We have our Mexican alebrijes, which are our spirit guides. And as you can see here, there is a beautiful use of color and line and shape and interest and form. Here is our El Salvadoran primitivist folk art. And so with the beautiful animals that are in the culture, there is some emphasis, as you can see, by making that bird really stand out and also changing the shape so that it feels like it's coming towards you and those buildings are going back. This is a Russian lacquer box, and this is the actual top of the lacquer box. And of course, using different values of the color green and using red, which is on the opposite side of the color wheel, creates interest. We have the Ecuadorian Tigua paintings. And again, with the moon set here in the background, it takes your eye right back there and it looks larger than life. And then there's movement with the water and the animals that are going in one direction. Very interesting. And then we have the Ukrainian Vyshyvanka embroidery. Lovely use of color and geometric design and contrast. And then the Guatemalan Mayan textiles. How beautiful with all the lovely colors, all the colors of the color wheel, and then using the texture of the embroidery to make those fruits and flowers really stand out. We have the Armenian carpet weavings, which use lots of reds and burnt orange, etc. And then the contrast of the black background and the use of geometry in the shapes. And then last but not least, we have the Native American Navajo weavings. And again, they look very similar to different parts of the world, also using weavings by use of shape and line and geometry, etc. So I'm going to stop sharing. And so what I would really like us to think about now is the vocabulary that is upon us. We have line, shape, color, balance, space, and all of that together we're going to use to create our culturally expressive piece of art. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get into groups, and I'm going to mix you guys up because what I really want you to feel is the energy from all the cultures. Now, what the piece of art that you make can be strictly from your culture. That's not a problem. But I really want you to be infused with the energy of like a global energy to see if you can infuse some color or line or shape from another culture. So I hope you enjoyed that slide presentation. I see a few questions in the chat, and so I'm going to look at those. And what I'd like you to do is get your materials together, and then we're going to get together and start making our art. Very excited. See you soon.